Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto Team 7 backstabbed Naruto during the wave part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto was asleep, resting up for his match in the prelims, which was tomorrow. Hinata was watching over him, stroking his hair gently, enjoying being able to care for him so tenderly. He was still sore from the injury that Orochimaru had given him, a kunai to the joint between his shoulder and arm, a fact that he ignored when his concern for Hinata rose up. Seeing her bloody hands made Naruto forget his own injuries, but after he had released her, he remembered them. The slight surge of pain wasn't too bad to take. Just then Hagane helped Anko into the room. What happened, Haga-kun? Hinata asked as he laid the battered and bruised woman down on the bed next to Naruto. She was attacked by Orochimaru a few hours ago. He wanted her to attack Naruto. When she said no, he attacked her. I came upon their fight and managed to drive him off, then brought her here. Hagane said. Anko looked over at Naruto, noticing his injury wrapped in a fresh bandage. What happened to the kid? She asked. Oh no, please be alright, Naruto. He was attacked by Orochimaru in the forest. He tried to give him the curse seal, but he used his steel body technique to block him. Hagane said. Oh thank goodness. Anko said with a relieved sigh. Are you going to be alright, Anko-sensei? Hinata asked. Yes. She replied. Freaking snake is tougher than he looks, but so am I. She stated. Hagane, go and get some ice and the medicinal herbs from the pack Kushina-sama gave me. Hinata said. What are you doing? Anko asked as the boy went to perform his job. Kushina-sama taught me healing techniques as well as taijutsu. I will be able to accelerate your healing time, she said. Naruto may have been the team leader on this, but in his weakened state Hinata had chosen to take charge. In the tower's sleeping quarters, the group of ninjas rested and recovered their strength for tomorrow's activities. It was late that night when Naruto finally stirred. Anko had been waiting for him to wake up so that she could talk to him. She was grateful to Hinata for her healing techniques, but now it was time for a little heart-to-heart. Naruto-kun, she asked, tentatively. Wa, Anko-sensei? Naruto asked, more than a little curious as to what she was doing next to her. What are you doing here? He asked, then noticing her injuries. Who attacked you? Orochimaru. She said. Naruto grimaced as she said that. Bit by bit he was starting to hate the snake Sannin, and Anko could see it in his eyes. The pair spent the next hour just talking, telling each other about their likes and dislikes, hobbies and dreams for the future. It was after all this that she told Naruto her most taboo secret. You were trained by that damned snake. He gasped. Anko nodded her head, pulling her shirt off of her shoulder, revealing the cursed seal Orochimaru had given her years ago, which ultimately made her his slave. Which meant that he could hurt her no matter where she was. If he wanted to, he could kill her. But her most deepening fear was that Naruto would despise her now because he knew. I will understand if you hate me for this. I just felt you deserved the truth. Naruto lifted Anko's head up to look into her eyes. He smiled at her, the woman seeing that there was no hate in them. How can I hate my fiancé? He said as he pulled the woman into a gentle hug. Anko felt a wave of love wash over her as the boy held her tight. She wrapped her arms around his body and returned the hug, tears falling from her eyes for the first time. You know, she said in a whispered voice. Yes, I do. My father left a few letters with my mother before he died. One of those letters mentioned you. I didn't say anything before because I didn't know you. But now that I do, I'm not upset at all. Anko, there's something I have to tell you, he said as he pulled away from her. Yes, it's about Hina-chan, your girlfriend, she said. Yes, don't get me wrong, I like you, but Hinata was the first girl in my life who cared about me who wasn't related to me. I can't just make her a second, he said. However, I can at least do this, he said as he placed his hand on her shoulder. His hand started to glow, a slight static shock surging over her body, which was replaced by a warm tingling sensation. Wah! What did you do? Anko asked as Naruto removed his hand from her shoulder. I placed a mild suppression seal over the cursed seal Orochimaru gave you. It's only a temporary solution, but it will keep that damned snake from controlling you. I'll need to talk to my mother about anything more permanent, he said. Anko smiled as she hugged the boy tightly, kissing his cheek to thank him for what he had done. Meanwhile, from the doorway to their room, a certain pale lavender-eyed girl watched intently, no feelings of anger bubbling up inside her. She had heard what had been said and understood. Opening the door to reveal herself, she walked over to the bed and sat down next to the pair. Hina-chan. Naruto gasped the second the door had opened. It's all right, Naru-kun. Hinata said. It is. Yes. Your father made this arrangement, so I will understand you wanting to honor it. I thank you for wanting to include me in this, and I am not averse to sharing you, she said, taking his hand into her own. Anko just stared at the girl, shocked at what she believed the girl was proposing. You mean you would be willing? Anko started to say, but couldn't finish. Yes, Hinata said with a nod. I will not give up my Naru-kun for anything, or for anyone, but I know his heart is big enough for us to share. And if you are willing. Yes, Anko shouted. Good, Hinata said with a smile. Now, as to our arrangements. Naruto laid back in the bed and smiled as his two fiancés started setting ground rules for each other. He especially liked the one about, if you run off with my Naruto, be sure I will hunt you down to the ends of the earth. When morning, and breakfast, came, the prelims were announced and everyone was to assemble in the main chamber. Naruto was now in a pair of tearaway pants, a black t-shirt, black bike shorts, sandals and his headband. His hands were taped up and his hair was in a ponytail. Like the outfit, cuz. Hagane said. Just something I threw on, he said as he stepped out of the room. Suddenly, he was tackled to the floor by a striped blur, crashing into the middle of the floor. It was Tora. She was dressed in a white bikini top, black and white hot pants, pinkish stockings with thick socks and no sandals. His face was buried in her cleavage as she purred while everyone around started to laugh. Great. I feel like a Pooh Bear. Naruto groaned as he tried to get up. So what am I, Tigger? Tora giggled. Once everyone had had their laughs, they got up and headed to the arena. Once everyone was assembled, Sarutobi stood up and made his announcement. Congratulations, you have made to the preliminaries of the Chunin exam. You should all be very proud of yourselves. He said. This will be the third phase of the exam. However, unlike the second phase, which consisted of teamwork, this will be a tournament-style fight, person to person. It will be every man and woman for his or herself. Good luck, he said. With that, the first match was announced. Musaka Takeuchi vs. Kiba Inuzuka. Everyone who knew the pair were shocked. Mostly because it was basically 2 against 1. Kiba and Akamaru leapt down onto the arena floor. Musaka was about to go down, when Sasuke grabbed his arm. Win this match. Don't embarrass us, he said to the samurai. Yeah, Sakura added. Musaka gave Sasuke an even look, before he kicked Sasuke's legs out from under him, pushing him hard to the floor with his hand, quickly taking his sword out and aiming it at the Uchiha's neck. I do not have to do what you say, he said in a tight voice. You are not a member of my clan's council nor my parent. I do not respect you, the Haruno girl, nor our so-called sensei. Try and force me to respect you, Hackett, and the line ends with you, he said to the cycloptic ninja. With that said, he walked down to the arena to fight. The fight itself was fairly impressive, with Kiba and Akamaru trying to double-team Musaka by having the dog turn into a clone of Kiba. While Musaka had to admit that the pair had impressive teamwork savvy, he didn't let that distract him. Moving at speed to match them, Musaka was able to deduce who was who, and used the reverse side of his sword to strike Kiba with after he had charged his sword with chakra. He struck Kiba's nerve points with incredible precision, laying out the boy within a matter of seconds. Winner Musaka Takeuchi, said the proctor. Musaka looked at Kiba and bowed to his body, which Akamaru was pawing at, then he bowed to the proctor. He left the floor as Kiba was carried off, leaving the floor open to the next fight. The rest of the matches were somewhat spectacular to watch. Sasuke, Shikamaru, Shino, Tamari, Hagane, Jun and Kankuro won their matches. Choji lost his match and Ino and Sakura's fight ended in a double knockout. Musaka just shook his head, realizing that Sakura had been trying so hard to impress her dear Sasuke that she left herself vulnerable to an easy-to-block strike, resulting in her being knocked down along with Ino. However, Ino woke up as she was being carried out. As she did, she saw Naruto had come over to her. "You did good, Ino-chan," he said. "But, I kinda lost," she said weakly. "Technically. At least you didn't let your guard down." "Thank you Naruto-kun," she said before they carried her off. Next up was Rock Lee, and he was facing Gaara. The Jinchuriki unleashed nearly all of his awesome powers to strike down the taijutsu expert. However, once Lee got the go-ahead to drop his weights, even Gaara's sand shields couldn't protect him against Lee's blinding speed. He struck down Gaara with a fury of lightning-fast punches and kicks, throwing him across the arena and into the wall. Winner, Rock Lee. The proctor coughed. The next fight was Hinata against Neji. Naruto looked at his girl, who was more than a little freaked out. "Don't worry," he whispered to her, clutching her hand tightly. "You trained with Mom. You can beat him," he said to her. Hinata smiled as Naruto gave her a reassuring kiss on the cheek. Walking down the arena floor, she stared at her cousin, sensing something different about him. Pushing the thought from her mind, she focused her attention to the fight. Neji smiled internally as he felt something different about his younger cousin. To him, she felt stronger. "I didn't think I'd be facing you, Hinata-chan," Neji said. "I didn't know I'd be facing you either, Neji-kun," Hinata said. "A lot has changed. For all of us," he said, as he brushed his hand over his forehead. Hinata looked at Neji a little confused, until she realized what he might have meant. The pair nodded at each other and quickly leapt forward. The gentle fist technique they both used proved to be somewhat useless, especially when Neji realized he had been right about Hinata's growing in strength. But still intent on winning, Neji pulled out the Kaden maneuver, only to have Hinata smirk at him. "Reverse Kaden," she shouted as she spun around, chakra being pulled into her as Neji's Kaden had stopped spinning. He looked at her in shock. "I've learned a lot since I left," she said as she suddenly rushed forward to use her technique. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms, she shouted as she blazed towards Neji. "I'm not finished. 128 palms." She cried out as the impact struck Neji hard with precise moves. Neji staggered, barely able to hold himself up as he forced his body to perform one last action. "You beat me. I am proud of you," he said weakly before he passed out onto the floor. "Winner Hinata Hyuga," the proctor said. Naruto cheered loudly as he leapt down onto the arena floor and engulfed Hinata in a tight hug. "I knew you could do it, Hina-chan," he shouted as the girl hugged him back. "Excuse me Namikaze, you are the last fighter," the proctor said. "Oh cool, who am I going against?" Just then Kabuto entered the arena. I thought you quit. I just went to the bathroom," he joked. "It'll be a pleasure to destroy you Uzumaki," he said. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Moron. Didn't you hear the proctor? There's no Uzumaki here. My name is Namikaze." Kabuto grimaced as he rushed the boy, Hinata leaping off the arena floor as Naruto changed into his steel form. Kabuto slammed into his body and bounced off, his head in pain already and the fight hadn't even started. Naruto ripped off his pants, which were followed by his t-shirt and boots. Now let's go, Naruto stated. The blonde boy leapt at Kabuto, tackling him to the ground, then pulling him up and throwing him over his shoulder against the far wall. Kabuto didn't have time to retaliate, as Naruto leapt at him and thrust his leg forward, slamming into Kabuto's leg and snapping it. The snake lapdog tried out in indescribable pain. Kabuto, if you don't mind, could you keep the noise down? Naruto asked. I mean, come on, no one wants to hear you crying like a girl. He pulled Kabuto up and tossed him into the center of the room. Once he landed, on his chest, the blonde boy leapt into the air and came down hard, landing on Kabuto's back, breaking his ribs and causing the man to cry out once again. Naruto sighed. Kabuto, once again, keep the noise down or I might have to ask Hokage-sama to disqualify you for disturbing these people. Not like he could help it. Kiba mumbled. Naruto pulled Kabuto up by his collar and decided to finish the fight. Wind and steel style. Bring the pain. He shouted as he punched Kabuto with a full-strength punch, hurling him like a rag doll across the arena and creating a human-shaped hole in the wall. Winner. Naruto Namikaze. The proctor said with a cough. Naruto went back to his cheering teammates as the Hokage called everyone into the center of the arena. There he had everyone pull out a number from a hat that looked like his own. Once everyone had a number, he had them read it. The result of this was that the persons with the same number would face each other in the final rounds of the Chunin exams. The contestants were Naruto vs. Sasuke, Shikamaru vs. Temari, Hinata vs. Hagane, Rock Lee vs. Musaka, Shino vs. Kankuro, and Jun vs. winner of the Shino-Kankuro match. The final phase of the Chunin exam will take place within 1 month's time. In that span, you will all be able to rest and improve your skills to face your opponents. I wish you all the best of luck, Sarutobi said to the group. Team Whirlpool were relaxing in the hot springs. Naruto had his eyes closed as he, Rimuru and Hagane were soaking their aching muscles. Ah, this is heaven. Naruto said. The other two just chuckled as their cousin was resting for the first time in a long time. His bed rest from getting attacked by Orochimaru didn't count, only because he hadn't gotten, fully, recovered. Hey bro, Hagane said as Rimuru looked over to him. Want to make a little bet? What are we betting? Rimuru asked. Me, Naruto, and Hinata, make Chunin, said the steel body user. Rimuru didn't need to really think about that. Alright, I'm in, he said, but held up a finger to add, but. He points to Naruto, he wins the tournament. Naruto looked over to them as soon as the he caught his ears. Sure, I have faith in him, he said. Just then Naruto put his 2 cents in. I want in, he said. They looked at their cousin as he replied. I know I can't bet on myself and I won't throw any fight. But, I think Hagane would win this one. The tournament? Why do you say that? Hagane asked. Because you have more talent than I do using the steel body. Plus I saw the way you fight, you're an animal. Naruto said. They laughed. What they didn't know was the girls were listening to them. So, my brothers want to make a little bet, huh? Said Reiko. She took a piece of special paper and looked over her to her teammates. You girls want in? Sure, but ask them what the bet is first. Tora said as she cuddling up to Hinata. The tiger girl was sitting in the former Hyuga heir's lap, said girl blushing heavily as Tora nuzzled her neck. Oh, you're so cute. She purred. Reiko shook her head as she tossed the chakra-ridden note over to the men's side of the bath and hit Hagane in the head. Ow, he shouted. Sorry, Hagane, Reiko shouted. Rimuru opened the note. We heard you are making a bet on the outcome of the exams. We want in. He read. What do you want to know? He shouted. The bet. Reiko shouted. Rimuru's betting on me winning the tournament. I'm betting Hagane and Hagane's betting, Naruto shouted. Hinata. Sis. Hagane shouted, then turned to his cousin. Sorry bro, but somebody had to bet her. They laughed. What they didn't know was Hinata was blushing over the fact her opponent is betting against himself and a little mad that her boyfriend would bet against her. After they were done in the hot springs, the two groups walked out in fresh clothes. Rimuru and Reiko were cleaning their glasses, Tora was trying to tie her own hair into long braids, and Hagane was making sure no one had stolen anything from his knapsack. While they did that, Hinata walked up to Naruto and playfully slapped him on the arm. "Why would you bet against me?" she asked. "I forgot that you were going against Hagane," he said to her. "Honestly, I'm sorry. I'll forgive you, on one condition," she said with a smile. "What condition?" Naruto asked as Hinata whispered something in his ear. He smiled as nodded to her. "That's fair. So what are we betting?" Hagane asked the group as he stood up from his knapsack. "How about, winner gets lunch from the losers, for 6 months?" Rimuru said. The group all looked at each other as they mulled that over. "If Hinata wins the tournament, Naruto has to make her, Tora and myself lunch for 6 months. Reiko said. "If Hagane wins the tournament, Reiko, Rimuru and I have to make him lunch for 6 months. Tora said. "And if Naruto wins the tournament, Hagane and I will make him lunch for 6 months. Since we are on the same team," Hinata said. The bet set, the group all agreed on it as they heard someone behind them. "Bet all you want, you're just going to lose," the ninja boy said. It was Sasuke, alone for a change. "Why? Because Kakashi's." Naruto started, trying very hard not to laugh out loud. "Going to train you," he said, then broke into laughter. Sasuke started to get mad. "And where's the pink-haired banshee who's always hanging onto you?" Tora asked. "Gave her the slip," Sasuke snapped. "Man, you must be a gay eunuch," Hagane said. "Really? I mean she'd give it up to you if you asked," Reiko said. "Maybe getting laid would take the asshole off you," Naruto said. "Do you know who I am?" Sasuke asked. Hagane couldn't resist that one. "The Juggernaut's bitch," he shouted. With that, the entire group started cracking up laughing. Naruto was on his ass, rolling around on the street. Sasuke, easily upset, pulled his kunai and hurled it at the rolling blonde. But at the last second, Naruto caught the kunai with his hand and tossed it back to Sasuke. The blade landed at his feet, right next to his big toe, and Naruto was still laughing. Sasuke growled as he spun around on his heels and stormed off, leaving his kunai in the dirt. It was just after noon as Hagane met up with Aya Natsumi at their hotel. The woman was sitting in the lobby talking to Arashi, just like Hagane had told her to find, but they had been joined by a gorgeous lavender-haired woman dressed in a Chunin vest, black cargo pants, and open-toed boots. Her headband was tied on her right arm, and she had a long katana sword in its sheath clutched in her left hand. He went over to them and introduced himself. "Uncle," he said, nodding to the older man. "Aya," he said, nodding to her. "Hello. My name is Hagane, what's your name?" he asked the second girl. "My older sister, Maya," Aya said, then turned to the lavender-haired woman. "This is the ninja who offered us a safe haven over the purge." "A safe haven?" Maya asked. "Where?" "New Whirlpool," Arashi said. Maya looked at Hagane. "You can ensure our safety and passage to New Whirlpool?" "Of course, my aunt. My sister," Arashi added. "Is the Uzukage," he said. "She's coming to Konoha within the month for the final exams." Hinata leaned back against Naruto's chest as the blonde boy wrapped his arms around the girl, his left hand coming up to stick another octopus-shaped hot dog into her mouth. She moaned as she accepted the piece of food. "This was a wonderful idea, Hina-chan. A quiet little picnic for the two of us," Naruto said as his hand went down to grab a small sushi piece and brought it up. "I just thought, we hardly had any time to be alone, with all the training we went through with Hagane and the others. Even your mother left us little time to be alone," Hinata said as she accepted the sushi from him. "I understand Tora's been getting friendly with you," Naruto said in a slightly teasing tone. Hinata blushed, nearly choking on her sushi. That was mean. Naru-kun, Hinata said with a slight cough. Sorry. I just couldn't resist. He said, kissing her cheek gently. That's so sweet, I'm getting cavities. A new voice said, causing the pair to nearly jump. They turned to see three figures. One was a blonde-haired woman with spiky hair in fishnets and a large fan on her back. Two was a slightly rotund man in a black outfit with makeup on his face and some strange object on his back. And three was a younger boy with red hair, circles around his eyes, brown and red clothes, and a large gourd on his back. Naruto knew who they were. Sand ninjas. He said. To what do we owe the pleasure of your presence? He asked, slowly going for his gun. I wish to speak with you in private, Naruto Namikaze, the boy in red said. Really? The blonde boy said, both him and Hinata standing up. Gaara, the blonde woman asked. Tamari. Kankuro. Leave us. I'll be along shortly. The boy said. Understood. The painted man said. The two sand ninjas leapt away into the trees, leaving Gaara alone. Woman. Leave us. Gaara said to Hinata, who was standing behind Naruto. Don't go ordering Hinata around, beast host. Naruto said to the red sand nin. Hinata and Gaara looked at each other and then to Naruto. You know then. Gaara said in an even tone. Yes. I felt it back when we were taking the written test. I wasn't sure, until now. Naruto said. You still have your tailed beast. And you do not. Gaara stated. But this is not why I have come. Then why? I seek your help. He said. My help? What do you need my help for? Naruto asked, Hinata standing right behind him. The snake plans to destroy Konoha. Orochimaru. Naruto said with disgust. Sound and Sand are working with him. And I suspect even some Konoha ninja as well. Gaara said. Danzo probably. Naruto shrugged. Why are you telling us this? Hinata asked. Are you trying to recruit us? No. Gaara said. Then why? Naruto asked. I don't trust the snake. He stated. Goes without saying. Naruto replied. But still, why are you telling us this? The Cage believes Konoha's destruction will be more profitable for our village. You don't agree. I do. But I do not like being a pawn if I can avoid it. I prefer to choose my own path. You want out. Naruto deduced. Yes. Naruto bowed his head and closed his eyes, as if in thought. After a few seconds, he raised it up and looked at the red-haired boy. Depending on what you do next, I'll make my decision. But one thing, do you know when this attack will happen? No. Though I suspect it will be at the end of the exam, he said before he leapt away. Hinata clutched Naruto's hand as he just watched where the sand nin had been. While Naruto and Hinata were on their picnic, Rimuru, Reiko, Hagane and Tora were walking into the Hokage's office. You wanted to see us, Hokage-sama? Rimuru asked. Sarutobi sighed. I had hoped Naruto would be with you. He's busy at the moment. You can tell us and we'll tell him. Hagane said. Sarutobi accepted that as he spoke. There are a few things you need to know, and they are all in the manor. He said as he gave the group a key to the old Namikaze manor. Thank you, sir. Let's go people, Hagane said to the others. With that, the group set off to find Naruto and Hinata. In the manor's library, the pale-eyed girl just stared at the books. What are we searching for, Naru-kun? Hinata asked. I guess we'll know it when we see it. He said. Ji-san wouldn't hand us the keys to the manor without reason. I got it, Rimuru said, finding a scroll with the Uzumaki Namikaze seal on it. Naruto, heads up, he said and tossed him the scroll. Naruto caught it and opened it up. Oh my god, he said, which caused everyone to stop what they were doing and look at him. What's wrong? Hinata asked. This is one of the most powerful summoned scrolls in all of the elemental countries. Naruto said as he continued to read it. Guess who the recent signer was? Uncle Minato. Reiko asked as Naruto nodded. He's the recent signer. Yep. He said. Well, What is it? Tora asked. Naruto tossed it to her and she read it. Amazon Kunoichi contract. Yeah, Naruto said as he bit his thumb. I think everyone should sign this, you too Hinata. Naruto said as his blood hit the paper. Each of them signed the contract in turn as Tora just stared at the scroll. I wonder what we can call. Tora asked. It says that we can summon any and all-powerful Amazon Kunoichi. Naruto said. An army of warriors, apparently. He smiled. It was late at night when Naruto arrived at the Furos. He had received a note at dinner that if he wanted to know more about his father to come alone to the Furos. Well, he had arrived, and he was indeed alone. Okay, I'm here, now where is this guy? He thought as he looked around. Just then a man with white hair and dark eyes with red streaks coming down his cheeks appeared. He was dressed in a red, green and black robe, a mesh shirt, green pants, sandals and a spiked headband with the kanji for oil on it. Naruto felt someone approaching him from behind and put himself into an attack position. Alright jerk, let's see how you like a Rasengan sandwich with extra knuckle. Naruto thought with a growl. Jiraiya saw Naruto near the Furos and quickly but silently approached him. Quick as lightning, the blonde boy turned around and hurled a Rasengan at the older man, who was barely able to block it with his own hastily made Rasengan, the blast knocking the man onto his butt. Old man, you don't know how lucky you are. Naruto said as he helped the Sannin up. You can create Rasengans. Do I know you? You should, boy. I am the great Toad Sannin, Jiraiya. He said elaborately but in a hushed voice. Recognition showed up in Naruto's eyes. Oh, you're my father's sensei, the pervert. Naruto said. Jiraiya face faulted into the pavement. What are you talking? He said, his own realization coming up. You're Minato's kid. Well, it's nice to finally meet you. He said. I missed the Chunin exams but I heard you made it to the finals. Congrats. Thanks. Naruto said. So, what are you really doing here, if you have a new home and a family and all? I'm here to offer safe haven to persecuted blood-lined ninjas. Really? Sounds like a charity, or a relief fund. It is. Mom approved the plan, but we're carrying it out, he said. So, is there anything you want me to teach you? The Sannin asked. Thanks, but no thanks Jiraiya-sama. I already have what I need. I know the Rasengan, I already have 2 parts of my dad's Thunder God Jutsu down, all I have to do is either find one of his, try kunai, or smith it myself. Naruto said, but I am going to need your help, to protect the others. Why? Orochimaru is leading Sound and Sand in an attack against Konoha. He stated. What? Are they crazy? They can't. They can, and they will. My best guess is during the final phase of the exam. Konoha won't allow that, unless some of them were part of it. Jiraiya paled at that accusation. Who is it? Danzo. Wouldn't doubt it, but I don't know for sure. Well, that's just great. What about Sarutobi? Or your mom? Couldn't she get an army here to help us out? She could, but she doesn't care for this village any more than I do. I've got no love for this village either, kid. After what they did to you and your old man, after what they tried to do to others who never deserved it, but I think we'd better see Sarutobi in the morning to make a plan. Alright. Fair enough. Naruto said as the pair walked out into the night. It was early morning when both Naruto and Jiraiya appeared in Sarutobi's office. Jiraiya. Naruto. Sarutobi gasped as the pair appeared in front of his desk. I know we should have called first, Sensei, but this is rather important. Jiraiya said. Oh, what exactly? The Hokage asked. Naruto and Jiraiya quickly explained what Naruto had told Gaara had told him yesterday. Are you sure about this, Naruto? He asked. The boy nodded. Do you know how many are out there? They've had time to plan and prepare. And considering they have an additional month before the final phase of the exam. Naruto said. And add to the fact you've already got everybody guarding your elite guests, your army is cut in half and I sure as hell don't think Danzo's gonna help you. Jiraiya said. It's possible he's in on it with Orochimaru. That's a best guess. I've got no proof for it. Naruto said. Of course not. Danzo's not so big a fool as to announce it or anything. Sarutobi sighed. Enemies outside, enemies inside, no allies to speak of. Wonderful. While the older man brooded, Naruto came up with an idea. Ji-san, I think I have an idea on how to get some proof. Naruto said and did the seals for the cage bunshin. However, something happened, and where there should have been a Naruto clone stood a young man with silvery white hair, blue eyes and a demon left arm. He was dressed in a long, black, short-sleeved trench coat, black leather pants, a red vest covering a white shirt and black boots. He had a strange-looking sword strapped to his back and a holster under his right arm. What the hell? Naruto gasped. That's supposed to be a clone. The clone didn't say anything, just stared at Naruto, and Naruto understood him. His name's Nero. He can help us. Naruto said. He can. How? Jiraiya asked. And how did he get the Rinnegan? He wondered. He's going to find some proof for us. Naruto said. Then he looked at Nero. Be careful. Nero nodded and took off in a puff of black smoke. Naruto, do you know what you just did? Jiraiya asked. How did you get his body? I don't know. At first I thought that the Rinnegan didn't work. I was practicing with it and went to this old abandoned cemetery. Flashback. New Whirlpool. After training with Hagane and Hinata, Naruto went into a library and read about dojutsus. I wonder if we have one. He'd read about all the different dojutsus out there, but when he got to the Rinnegan, he felt that maybe that was the one he had. He sent some chakra to his eyes and he felt something in them. He read the scroll and saw how they were to look. He took off his headband to see his reflection, and sure enough they matched the picture on the scroll. Now, it says that they could send a small portion of their soul into the body of a dead person, and they can then summon them up like a cage bunshin. I've got to try this out, he thought. Going alone at night, he found an abandoned cemetery and selected what he felt was a good grave. He wasn't sure if the grave was good or not, but he just thought it would work. Having chosen the grave, he activated his Rinnegan and sent a small amount of his soul into the body. However, after nearly 10 minutes of nothing, the blonde boy became dejected, giving up and heading back to the village, not telling anyone about the Rinnegan. After all, why would he tell anyone, even his mother, about a technique that failed? End flashback. I guess he just needed more time to get powerful enough to fully manifest himself. Naruto said. Alright, Sarutobi said, slightly surprised at what had just happened. Now, does Kushina know about this, or is her Anbu coming just to protect her? He asked. Red Swirl, Whirlpool's answer to Root Ed, will be coming with Mom as her guard, but there will be platoons of Whirlpool shinobi outstationed around Konoha when they arrive. He said, which appeased the third Hokage. With that settled, Naruto left and went back to his hotel. On his way back, someone came up to him. He was dressed in a long black robe, had white hair, silver eyes and a white mustache. Excuse me, he said. Naruto looked at him. Yes, what can I do for you? Naruto asked. I was wondering, would you be interested in going to a costume party? The man asked. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Costume party? He asked. Yes, Namikaze-san. The man said. Naruto looked at the man. You know me? He asked, inwardly smacking himself. Idiot. Word has to have been out by now about me. Okay. Let's say that I want to go. How would I get an outfit? Follow me, he said, leading the boy to a shop that wasn't there before. Welcome to my costume shop, he said as Naruto just stared at the two huge floors of costumes everywhere. It's called Spells Are Us, but we also have costumes. Naruto looked around and stopped when he came to a black bodysuit with silver trim, a full face mask with a visor, and a bunch of real-looking weapons with it. That is our Snake Eyes costume, the man said. When is this party? Naruto asked. Just before the Chunin exams finals, he replied. Okay, Then I'd like to get some costumes for my team and family. Naruto said. After an hour of searching and selecting, Naruto paid for the costumes and took off. However, on his way back to the hotel, Naruto ran into some Anbu. Oh, here we go. Naruto thought. Yes, can I help you? He asked. I thought I said if Danzo wanted me, to come and get me himself. Danzo did not send us to get you, demon. The leader said. Then who sent you, asshole? He said. Just then he heard the shing of a katana released as it was under the Anbu's chin at his neck. I did, Namikaze-sama, said the matriarch of the Takeuchi clan. Now apologize to Namikaze-sama before you become a head shorter. The woman said. I'd rather die than apologize to that demon. Just then the Anbu heard the click of a handgun cocking and felt the muzzle pressed against his head. Naruto thumbed the hammer back, his finger on the trigger. Okay. Then I apologize to you, Takeuchi-sama, for getting blood on you. Naruto said and was about to pull the trigger. Two members of his team were about to attack Naruto, when they found a pair of kodachis at their throats, which stopped them in their tracks. What? The leader gasped, as the kodachi-wielding ninja pulled off their masks revealing themselves to be Takeuchi members. Taicho just smirked and gave out an order. These men bore me, kill them. She said softly. It was then that the Anbu captain spoke up. Alright, I'm sorry Namikaze-sama. He said. Naruto looked at him with an annoyed gaze and shook his head. Sure, you apologize when your own life is on the line. You should have thought about that all those times you attacked me. All those time you got drunk and tried to kill me. Naruto said. All those times you tried to rape me. One of the Takeuchi kunoichi said. And the time you threw acid in my face destroying the skin around my eye. Taicho said. Kill them. Two deep slashes and one point-blank gunshot dropped all three Anbu to the ground. Shed no tears for those who deserve it not. She said as she replaced her sword. She turned back towards Naruto and smiled. Namikaze-sama, would you care to join me for tea? I would be honored, Takeuchi-sama. Naruto said, still carrying his purchased costumes. Naruto sipped his tea with a sigh, enjoying the subtle warmth that flowed down his throat. Across the table, Lady Taicho just smiled at her blonde guest. So, my father really wanted you to adopt me? Naruto asked. Minato and I were good friends. When we were younger we made a pact that should the other perish in battle, we would adopt their children, she said. Then, why didn't you? He asked. At first she didn't say anything. The sad expression in her eye and the sneer on her lips told him everything. It was the council, wasn't it? Naruto said. They stopped Jii-san from doing a lot of things for me. It probably wouldn't have taken much to stop a clan head. Taicho sighed as she picked up her teacup and took a sip. I feel I owe you an apology for not being able to do more for you. You don't owe me any apology, Taicho-sama, he said. It's not your fault. Either way, that will change soon. Soon. Why? A smile turned her lips up, changing her expression from one of anger to one of beauty. I have been offered a position in another village. I will be accepting it after the Chunin exams, she explained. Naruto smiled. That's good. You'll be able to get away from this village. Yes. It will be a new start. For all of us, she said as a new person walked into the room. Hello, mother. Musaka Takeuchi said as he entered the room. Ah, Musaka. Welcome back. Taicho greeted her son. Forgive me, mother. I didn't know you had company. It's alright. I assume you know Naruto Namikaze. Naruto bowed his head to the young samurai. Musaka bowed his head in response to the young ninja. We know of each other. Musaka said. Yeah, we even have a few things in common. Naruto said. Oh, like what? Taicho asked. We don't like Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto said. We don't like the Konoha Council. Musaka said. We don't trust the Leaf Village. Naruto said. And we've been persecuted by the ninjas of this village. Musaka said. That And we've also kicked Sasuke's butt more than once. Naruto laughed. The pair of Takeuchis joined him in that as Musaka joined the pair for some tea. After having tea with Taicho and her son, Naruto walked back to the hotel, costumes in hand. Arashi and the others saw him in the lobby and came up to him. Naruto, need a hand? Arashi asked. I've got it, thanks uncle. Is everyone here? He asked. Arashi nodded, staring curiously at the packages. Good. He then started handing out costumes to the others. The first one was Hinata. I'm sure you heard about the costume party that's going on the night before the finals, right? The group nodded. Well, I got you guys some outfits. These are for you, Hina-chan. He said as he handed them to her. She took them and nodded. I'd like to see you in it. All right, Naru-kun. She said, but waited until he passed out the other costumes. Here is yours, Hagain. Naruto said as he handed the bag to him. Thanks. He said, accepting the bag. Now for the rest of the team. This one's Rimuru. He said, handing the bag to him. You got a costume for me? He asked. Naruto nodded, then he handed a bag to Tora. This one is for you, Tora-chan. Thank you, Naru-kun. She said as she hugged him before taking the bag. Reiko, this one's for you. Naruto said, handing her a bag. She took it from him. Thank you, dear cousin. She said with a smile. This one is yours, Uncle Arashi. Naruto said, holding out his costume bag. Arashi took it. Thanks, kid. The last bag was for Rin. This one is yours, Rin-chan. Thank you, Naru-kun, she sang. With their costumes in hand, the group returned to their rooms to try them on. Back in their room, Hinata was curious about what costume Naruto had gotten her. But right as she was about to find out, Tora snuck up and put a blindfold over her eyes. Tora, Hinata gasped. No cheating using your Byakugan. She said. Cheating. It'll be more fun to have you put the costume on then see what you look like. Tora smiled. Oh, alright, Hinata said. With that, Tora opened the first bag and saw a white leather, shoulderless, mid-rift and cape all in one, opera-length gloves, white tights, stockings, pumps and a choker. A long blonde wig completed the outfit. 1. You are so kinky, Naru-kun. Tora giggled to herself, then she unzipped the other bag and saw a long, sleeveless white robe with a diamond on the back and the kanji for 2 in the middle and markings at the bottom, with a neck clamp attached to long twin pigtails with rods in them. Okay, Hina-chan, I'm going to help you undress. What? Hinata gasped. You have to be down to your skivvies for this outfit to look good on you. Tora said. The dark-haired girl practically glowed in embarrassment as Tora undressed her until she was down to her panties. Tora was grinning as she helped Hinata into her outfit. While this was going on, Hinata's mind was in a whirlwind as to what exactly she would look like. Once Tora was finished, she stared at the girl. She was gorgeous. Okay, you're all set. Tora said as she put Hinata in front of the mirror, reaching for the blindfold. Don't open your eyes until I say so. She said as she put the wig on her and then the extensions. Okay. Get ready for a huge surprise. Said Tora, open them. Hinata did and stared into a mirror. Ah. Hinata freaked. Naruto-kun. Don't panic, Hina-chan. Tora said. Obviously he thinks you are extremely hot so he wants to show you off. Hinata blushed. Just then they heard, Naruto ooh. That sounded like Hagain-kun. Hinata said and went over to the boys' room. When they arrived at the boys' room, they saw Hagain dressed in a sleeveless, black bodysuit with a yellow harness strapped to his torso, gloves and boots. 2. He had his arms crossed and was tapping his foot. Hinata and Tora came into the room. He looked over to Hinata and his jaw dropped. The White Queen is a bleach captain? He asked. Hinata blushed and played with her fingers, looking down. Tora just grinned. Oh, she's not just any bleach captain. She turned her around and showed him the extensions and the symbol for the second division. She's Soifin-chan. Hagain just looked at the girls nonplussed. Emma Frost is Soifin? He asked. They nodded and he just sighed. Well, she's got body for it. He muttered, then looked at himself and sighed. I'm supposed to be either Ultimate Colossus or Movie Colossus, he explained. Well, Naruto always said you know more than he does about the steel body. Tora giggled. Where's Rai-chan? Said Hinata. Then they heard her from behind them. The young woman was dressed in a black robe with a white underrobe, an armband tied to her left arm, tabi socks, sandals and her glasses. She was also holding a book, with her hair pinned up. 3. Who are you supposed to be? Hagane asked. A bleach lieutenant named Naneo Eyes. Reiko answered. She's also the vice president of the Shinigami Women's Association. They all looked at Tora. It's your turn, Tora-chan. Hagane said. The girls smiled as Hinata pulled Tora back into her room. Right as they left, Rimuru walked out of his room. He was dressed a black shirt, a long dark trench coat, slacks, boots and shades. 4. Hagane just looked at his brother and laughed. Oh man, that is so cool. He said. Rimuru just sighed. Here we go. He mumbled. Come on, come on. Say the line, say the line. Hagane said. Sigh. Alright. Rimuru said. I know Kung Fu. Hagane and Reiko giggled. Alright. It's your turn to try on your costume without you seeing it. Hinata said, a blindfold twirling in her hand. Tora just sighed. Alright, you win, she said as Hinata placed it over her eyes. Hinata unzipped the bag and saw an orange jacket with white shoulder pads, an orange bodysuit with black stripes, a black bikini and a tail, orange and black face paint, yellow cat-like contacts and black tights. 5. Okay. You need to take off all of your clothes. Even your underwear. Hinata said in a sultry tone, sending shivers down Tora's spine. What is wrong with her? Tora thought as Hinata helped her out of her clothes. She then took out the bodysuit and looked at the tiger girl. She first put on the bodysuit, the whole experience giving Tora goosebumps. Oh my, Hinata gasped. Well, she has the body for it, she thought. Then she started to help Tora with the bikini and tail. Okay, I'm going to take off the blindfold and put this face paint on you. Tora nodded as Hinata removed the blindfold and turned the girl from the mirror. It took several minutes to apply the sweat and waterproof makeup to the girl. Okay, I'm done, Hinata said. Just 2 more things then I can let you see. She put a large blanket over Tora, so she wouldn't see how she was dressed. Hinata had also put a cover over the mirror so she couldn't cheat. Can you put on contacts? Sure thing, she said as she carefully put the contacts over her eyes. Okay, close them again. She did as Hinata slipped the jacket on her. Then Hinata snatched the cover off the mirror. Ready? Hinata asked as she put her robe over the tiger girl's shoulder. Yeah, I can't wait to see. What is my outfit? She asked as Hinata giggled. Tell you what, she said as she stood her up and in front of a huge mirror. Let me say this, your outfit is like mine and it suits your personality. What do you mean, suits my personality? She said. Hinata chuckled. Why don't you open your eyes and see? Tora opened her eyes, and screamed. Oh my god. She said she took a real good look at herself. I'm Tigra as Yoruichi. Hinata giggled. Yep. You do have the body for it, after all. She said. Come on, let's show the others. When the pair went back to the boys' room, Hagane just chuckled. This is the first time she's worn more clothes than she's used to. Hagane said. The group laughed as Tora pounced on him. Right then Arashi walked in dressed in his outfit. What's so funny guys? Arashi said. The others froze when they saw him. What? I look like Minato don't I? They all nodded. Just then Rin walked in, causing everyone to gasp once they saw her. In their collective opinion, she was a freaking goddess. She was dressed in a jade green and black bodysuit with a golden phoenix in the shape of an upside-down triangle on her chest, a golden sash held by a small golden phoenix, golden gloves and knee-high boots. She also had on a long red wig and beautiful green contacts in her eyes. 6. Phoenix. Rimuru gasped. Rin nodded. What do you think guys? She asked. You look good, Rin-chan. Tora said. Just then they heard someone walking in the room. He was dressed in black motorcycle boots, black leather slacks, mesh shirt, red leather trench coat, black gloves, and his hair was bleached and dyed a silvery white. He had a huge sword on his back and a couple of guns in holsters on his chest. They looked at him in shock. Naruto. Hinata gasped. He smirked that arrogant smirk and showed off his costume as he saw the others. First he went over to Rin. Wow, he said as he dropped to knees, bowing and scrapping to her. I'm not worthy. Rin giggled, then pulled the boy up and hugged him. Naruto looked over at Arashi. Whoa, you look just like father. How do you feel? I feel honored, Naruto. Arashi said. Naruto then looked at Reiko. You look great, he said to her. Like a hot librarian, he said as she blushed. Thank you, Naru-kun, she said. Naruto turned to Rimuru. Mr. Anderson, so nice to see you again, he said, causing Rimuru to sigh and the others to laugh. You look good as Neo, he said. I think I understand why you chose these outfits, Rimuru said to him. You tried to match up our personalities. Naruto nodded as he turned to Tora. I think I did a good job matching up the characters perfectly. Naruto said. Tigra is like you, Tora-chan, but when you get serious, you're like Yoruichi. She smiled as she pounced onto him. Yipe. He cried out as she tackled him to the ground while everyone laughed. Thanks, Naru-kun, Tora said, helping him up after she nuzzled him a bit. Okay, again, as I said before, you're more used to being in a steel body form than I am. That's why I chose Ultimate Colossus for you. You also remind me of a badass. Oh, and you're not? Hagane asked. As badass as a guy who can bench press a submarine. You're Dante. Hagane snapped. They don't come anymore. Badass, than a guy who can nuke an entire mountain in one blast. Well, I thank you. Then he looked at Hinata. Well, what do you think, Hina-chan? I like what you're saying about me, Naru-kun. She said. I'm honored you think me as this powerful. Hina-chan, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Think about it. Both White Queen and Soifin are nobles, but they worked hard for what they got. So did you. That's why I got you this outfit. And I hope I'm not sounding like a pervert, but you do look really hot in this outfit. Hinata blushed as she shook her head. You're not. I'm flattered, she said. Oh good. I was a little worried about that, he said, then turned to the others. Hey, I was thinking. Why don't we keep the outfits on and get used to them? He said. The others looked at each other, shrugged and agreed, thinking how much fun this was going to be. Hey, Emma, I didn't have breakfast. Would you like to join me for some lunch? He said with his arm held out to Hinata. She giggled and grabbed it. Why, it would be my pleasure, Dante, she said. The pair walked out of their room, heading to the restaurant. When the pair walked into the restaurant, Ino was already there. She'd seen them, watching them the whole time as they ate, but didn't know who they were. Oh my god, who are they? Ino thought as they saw her and walked over to her after finishing their meal. Naruto was waving at her, but she still didn't recognize them. Do I know him? Good morning, Ino-chan, Hinata said as they continued on their way. Ino was going crazy as to who the two were. Arg, I just know this is going to drive me crazy, she screamed. Just then Naruto came back to her. Hey Ino, are you alright? He asked. She looked at him, just staring into his eyes. Not trusting her voice, she just nodded. He smiled. Oh good. Hey, would you like to go with us to the costume party that's going on the night before the finals? Ino nodded her head so quickly he was afraid that she would break her neck. Okay, I'll get you a costume. Do you have any preferences? Naruto asked. Ino shook her head the same way. Alright then, I'll get you a costume, he said. You better come with us, Ino-chan, before you hurt yourself, Hinata said. Paying her bill, the attractive young blonde walked out with them. The trio walked into the Spell Ara's costume shop, but didn't see anyone right out. Hello. Is anyone here? Naruto shouted. Just then the wizard came out. Oh. Hello again, Naruto, he said, causing Ino to balk when she heard the name. What can I help you with? I was looking for a costume for my friend here, he said, indicating Ino. I was wondering if you had the Ms. Marvel one. The wizard smiled. Of course I do, if you'd follow me, miss. With some prompting from Hinata, Ino followed the wizard to where the costume was and then to one of the fitting rooms. About 10 minutes later Ino walked out. She was dressed in a black one-piece swimsuit with a yellow lightning bolt going down the front of it, black opera-length gloves, thigh-high boots, a red sash around her waist and a black domino mask over her eyes. Her hair was down and looked quickly brushed out. Dante and Emma looked over at her. Wow, they gasped. Do you like it? Ino asked. It's not too much, is it? Hell no. It's perfect, Naruto said as he softly kissed her on the cheek, causing her to blush while Hinata giggled. Wow, Carol, you've just been kissed by a devil, Hinata said as Ino looked at her. Hinata, she said, is that you? Finally. I was wondering when you were going to figure it out. Hinata grinned. And you're Naruto? She asked, finally coming out of her daze. That's right, Naruto said, paying for Ino's costume and another one he'd seen earlier. Nice to be recognized, he said. All right then, ladies. Shall we go? The pair smiled and took a hold of an arm as they walked out of the shop. Having already had lunch, Naruto, Hinata and Ino went looking for Anko. They had found her at her favorite eating joint. Hey Anko-chan, Naruto said. She looked over to him, looked him up and down and smiled. Well, hello gorgeous. She grinned. Is that you, Naruto? Yep. What do you think? He asked, letting her get a good look at his outfit. Wow, you look great. She replied. Thanks. He said, handing her a bag. Here, this is for you. He said. Giving me gifts already? She asked. What is it? Your costume. He replied. Costume? She asked. Yeah, we want you to come to the costume party with us. She started to unzip it, only to have Naruto stop her. I'd like to see you in it. She smiled at him and nodded. All right, she said and went into the bathroom to get changed. A few minutes later she came out wearing a tight black bodysuit, boots, gloves, golden bracelets and belt, an auburn wig on her head. Naruto Wolf whistled at her. Now that's impressive, he said. I think Naruto-kun's got a thing for superheroes. Ino whispered to Hinata. Can you blame him? Black leather, swimsuits, spandex. Hinata whispered back. Eventually the day of the costume party arrived, and every cage, their guards and important people were coming to Konoha for the finals of the Chunin exams. Sarutobi himself had welcomed them all to Konoha. Especially the group from New Whirlpool. After meeting with the Hokage, Kushina, Hinaru and Naruto went straight to their team's hotel to surprise them. But they were the ones who were about to get the surprise. When the trio walked into the hotel, there was a fight in progress. Team Whirlpool and their allies were fighting Root Anbu. Naruto was running backwards firing at an Anbu, hitting him in the head and heart, while dressed like a certain video game character. Kushina saw one of the Root members try to stab Hagain, only to have him transform into his steel body almost automatically. Then he started to charge him saying, Steel Special Tech. Das Vidanya. Her eyes went wide as she watched her nephew cold cock the Anbu with a fairly light punch, but sent him flying through the walls like they were paper. She smiled, truly impressed. One Anbu was trying to kill Hinata. But as the kunai was about to strike her, she suddenly turned into living diamond, causing the kunai to just bounce off. Hinata rushed him and tagged him hard in the chest, putting her fist through him. Amazingly, he didn't die. Kushina just smiled as she stared at her apprentice. She had become far stronger than before, yet her killing restraint seemed to be her most outstanding characteristic. Next was Rimuru. He was going inhumanly fast and just crushed his Anbu opponent against the wall of the hotel like a hockey player. Tora was basically kicking as if she was a dancer, agilely and gracefully leaping around the room to avoid being hit, then coming down hard to claw someone in the face. Reiko came in with a large book using it like a bat, slamming a couple anbu like they were baseballs, then took out another anbu with a what looked like a magic flash, as her hands seemed to be glowing. Arashi seemed to be everywhere at once, hitting anbu from all sides. Finally, Rin was flying around like a flaming bird, dive-bombing to take out her anbu group. She landed on her feet and turned to Naruto. "I tell you, these new abilities are awesome, Scott," she said to Naruto. "What did you call me?" Naruto, Dante asked. "Scott. You are my lover, right?" she asked with a smile. "Oh," he thought. "She sees me as Cyclops." Yeah, Jean. Sorry," he said, then heard Kushina. "Are you guys alright?" she asked, once all of the Anbu were either dead or unconscious. Naruto looked over and saw his mother. "Mom," he said. "Naru-chan. Ko-chan," she shouted as he ran over to them and gave them all a big hug. Naruto was hugging his mother and sisters tightly while they just stared at him. Hello, Naru-kun," Kushina said as she took a real good look at him. "Ah, my son has grown up and he looks yummy," she said, walking around him, slowly taking in everything about him. "I heard you made it to the finals. I am so proud of you," she said, hugging him again, right as an Anbu tried to attack her from behind. Naruto pulled out one of his guns and blew the Anbu's brains out of his head. Kushina turned around to see the dead Anbu, then back to Naruto as he apologized to the manager for the mess he and his team had created, then got his family's room keys. Meanwhile, Hinata was walking to see her father when she was suddenly grabbed onto by a woman. She was dressed in black bikini top armor, black briefs with armor, thigh-high boots, her arms covered in opera-length gloves, black and white plating with police car markings on them longer than the gloves with claws at the end of the armor, and wheels behind the claws. She had a crave with wheels over her shoulders, a headdress with long platinum blonde hair. Her red eyes gave her away. "Kurenai-sensei," Hinata gasped. "Hello, Hina-chan," the woman said. "How are you?" "I'm fine, how are you?" "Proud. And a little disappointed," she said with a sigh. "I don't understand," she said, confusion on her face. "You made it to the finals. You defeated Neji. You're stronger and more confident than I could have ever made you," she said. "I guess I'm feeling a little inadequate that I had no part to play in that." "Sensei. I mean it, Hinata. I'm proud of the person you've become, but I'm disappointed that I wasn't the one to make you stronger than when I first met you." Hinata just stared at the older woman before pulling her into a tight hug. "I may have been trained by someone else, but you were the one who started me out in this. I can't ever forget that," Hinata said as she hugged the woman. Kurenai just smiled as she gently stroked Hinata's long blonde hair. Meanwhile, Naruto had handed his mother and sisters their costumes. "I got you something for the costume party. Please, go put them on," he said. They took their costumes and went to get dressed. In Kushina's bag was a black robe, with a white sash and a pink scarf, tabi socks, sandals and a chain around her neck that went down into her deep cleavage. The sash had enhanced and lifted her bust line, giving her some rather gravity-defying assets. "Oh my god, I'm as busty as mom," she said as she stared into the mirror. Naruto walked in from the bathroom dressed in a pair of black slacks, boots, a white shirt, a black coat with gold trim held together with a black sash and a black choker. "Wow mom, you look great," Naruto said. "You don't look half bad yourself, Captain," she said. "Does that mean I outrank you?" She smirked to the busty Shinigami. Hinaru walked in, the pair looking at her as the girl was dressed in a black robe, a white sash, socks and sandals with a sword at her hip. "Well, you look nice," Kushina said. "Thanks mom," Hinaru said. "Well then girls, let's go show your brother how we look," the older woman said. The trio walked out of their rooms and headed down to where the others were. On their way, Several other people couldn't help but stare at them. Men in the lobby, and a couple women, just stared at Kushina, running into walls and doors because they couldn't take their eyes away from her. Arashi met them in the hall, Wolf whistling when he saw her. "Wow sis, you look great," he said. "Thank you, Arashi," she said as she took in his appearance. "And you look just like Minato." "I know." Naruto picked out the costume. "Speaking of whom, let's go show Naruto and the others." Nodding, the quartet left. Naruto was about to leave the hotel lobby when he froze, meeting Danzo himself. "Do you know how many of my men you and your team have killed?" he asked with increasing anger at the boy. Naruto just ran his fingers through his hair as if he was the character he was dressed as. "Considering what they would have done to me and mine, I figured it was fair. Besides, if you'd shown up when we asked, we wouldn't have had to go through your messenger boys," Naruto said. "Also, if you weren't such and karma wouldn't have bit you in it." Danzo growled at the boy, mad at his attitude as well as the trouble he had given him. He lunged to attack the boy, only to be blocked by a long sword. Naruto and Danzo looked over to see a very busty woman in between them. Danzo couldn't help but look into her Grand Canyon like cleavage. "My eyes are up here, you old pervert," she said as she lifted her sword, raising his head, and he was shocked to see it was Kushina. "Are you alright, Naru-kun?" He smiled, just peachy. "Mama bear." She looked over to him with a weird look on her face. "Mama bear," she repeated. He gave her sheepish grin. She chuckled and shook her head. Then she brought her attention back to Danzo. "Why do you want Naruto? Surely it's not just as a weapon for Konoha. It's for you, isn't it? So that you could embarrass my husband's spirit. Because he always overturned your orders," she said, seeing Danzo getting mad. "Oh, so now you're getting mad, huh? You have no right to get mad about what I am saying, because you know it's true. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have tried to kill me." Danzo had had enough and moved to attack her. Naruto saw him and was about to move, when he felt someone in his head. "No love, we have him," the voice said. It was Rin. Just then Danzo was hit with a huge flaming bird's claw, slamming him into a wall. Just as he was about to get up, he was hit in the neck by a flying dart. Knocked cold, a new group of people emerged from the shadows. "Take him to the dungeon," Sarutobi said to some loyal Anbu. "Well, I see you've found Naruto," he said to Kushina, doing his best not to stare at her cleavage. Kushina actually found it sweet that the old man still had some respect. Though the real reason was that he was trying not to get launched through the air via nosebleed. Sarutobi looked at Naruto. "I'm impressed, you look alright," he said to the boy. "Thanks Jii-san," he said as Kushina, Rin, Naruko, Hinaru and Arashi stepped out of the shadows. The others had stayed back to let Kushina deal with Danzo. They figured she had more right to it than most others. It was the day after the party, which had been a blast, and it was time for the finals. However, thanks to a crazy spell, everyone stayed in their costumes. So almost all of the fighters were dressed up as their characters from last night. A few of them thought they were who they were dressed up as, and some of them still knew who they were but now had their characters' powers and knowledge. Everyone had arrived at the arena, except Sasuke. He better show if wants back up that big talk he said last month. Thought Naruto. He's late. One of the clan heads said. No kidding. Who was his sensei? Hitaki Kakashi. Oh, for crying out loud. Sarutobi groaned. Very well. We'll start without them. But, we should wait for the Uchiha heir. One of the clan heads interrupted. He'll be put up as the last match, against Naruto. And I don't feel like waiting for that cycloptic fool, he said. Our first match of the day will be Hinata Hyuga and Hagane Uzumaki. Hinata and Hagane, still dressed up as White Queen and Colossus, stepped into the arena and faced each other. Their fight started out simple enough, both of them just getting a feel for the other, as punches and kicks flew with both grace and strength. That's when things got crazy. Alright, Hina-chan, let's show them what we can do, he said as he went full metal. Hinata just smiled, giving him a small bow before she turned her body into living diamond. From the stands, Hiyashi, Neji and Hanabi were in shock. What's going on, father? Said Hanabi. Is that a part of our bloodline? I don't think so, dear. Hiyashi said. Hinata and Hagane suddenly rushed forward and struck each other, their impact creating a sudden shockwave. Everyone hang on to something, Hiyashi shouted as the blast hit the crowd. Meanwhile in the EPI center, Hinata and Hagane were slugging it out like a couple of prize fighters for a championship belt. Hagane came in, throwing heavy sledgehammer blows onto the girl's head, the girl herself throwing back punches and kicks with concrete shattering force. The pair reared back and charged forward to finish their fight. The impact caused another explosion, knocking both fighters out of their power forms. Hinata struggled to get up and succeeded. She was tired, bleeding, but she had won. Winner, Hinata Hyuga, said the proctor. The crowd cheered and Hinata smiled tiredly. She went back to where the others were as Naruto enveloped her in a tight hug. You did good, Hina-chan, he whispered to her, kissing her gently on the cheek. Rest now, he said as the girl let herself pass out. Meanwhile Ino was cheering for Hinata and Hagane for a great match with Sakura sitting next to her. Nice going, Emma, she screamed. Sakura looked at her. What are you doing? She said. Cheering for my friends and the great match they had, she explained. The matches continued. Musaka and Lee knocked each other out. Tamari won her match, but she wasn't happy about it. Shikamaru had just quit when he had her right where he wanted her. Konkuro gave up. Shino and Jun took each other out as well. Jun knocked out Shino and Shino made so Jun couldn't continue. Each of their unique costumes gave them rather amazing superpowers which dazzled the crowd. And with the others finished their fights, the main event was about to happen. I swear I'm going to castrate that one-eyed bastard one of these days. Sarutobi groaned. Calm yourself, sensei. You're going to pop a vein, Kushina said to the older man. Just then there was swirl of leaves and Kakashi and Sasuke appeared in the arena. Are we late? The Cyclopean ninja asked. What the hell do you think, Kakashi? Screamed the Hokage. We didn't have time to wait on the God King Sasuke and his manservant Hawkett to finish up powdering their noses. As a result you have missed all the other matches and shown clear disrespect to all the other villages, as well as your own. Sarutobi took a breath as Kushina calmed him down. If this was a war, you would have walked in on a bloodbath. I can't believe they didn't wait for us. Sasuke gasped. I apologize, Hokage-sama, it won't happen again, Kakashi said. However, everyone looked at him. Stop lying, Hawkett, Kushina said. It's what you are and you wonder why no one can count on you anymore. Kakashi glared at the busty woman who just smirked. However, your star pupil has arrived just in time to get beaten by my son. The kid gloves are off this time, Kakashi. I hope you're prepared for the cleanup. While the pair were talking, more like arguing, Sasuke was looking at the other fighters who had already had their fights. He noticed each of them were dressed in strange costumes. Hinata was in a white leather, shoulder-less, mid-rift and cape costume, opera-length gloves, white tights, stockings, pumps, a choker and a long, sleeveless white robe with a diamond on the back and the kanji for 2 in the middle and markings at the bottom of it. She now had blonde hair with long twin pigtails with rods in them. Hagane was in a sleeveless, black bodysuit with a yellow harness strapped to his torso, gloves and boots. Shino was in a black bodysuit with belts on his legs and across his chest, a red tattered trench coat with a high collar, black, steel-soled boots, a metal gauntlet and a headband on his forehead. His hair was to his shoulders and his eyes were red, he also had a thigh holster with a gun in it. Tamari was in a black bodysuit, with pink shoulder, shin and torso armor and had a huge boomerang strapped to her fan. Lee was dressed in a yellow track suit with black trim, no surprise there. Musaka was in a lavender kimono top, white hakama pants, tabi socks and sandals. He had reddish-brown hair in a wolf cut and a thick ponytail, blue eyes and an X cut on the left side of his face. Jung was in a black and pink tank top, with a white furred skirt, boots and cape, red hair in twin pigtails and green eyes. She also had a sword at her hip. What is with these stupid costumes? Sasuke thought. The final match will begin now. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze vs Sasuke Uchiha. Sarutobi shouted. It was then that Naruto emerged from the tunnel into the arena. His gloves and boots were tightened up, his guns holstered, his sword strapped to his back. Kakashi walked up to him while leaving the arena. So, you're going to use your weapons, huh? You're not a real shinobi. Kakashi said. That was when he felt a strong fist strike his ribs, breaking about half of them. Kakashi started coughing up blood, as Naruto looked down at him. To begin with, shinobi use anything possible. If you would have read the guide instead of that porn you'd know this. He said, now if you excuse me. I have to beat your pretty boy. With that he walked out to the center of the area while a couple of medic nins came and carted Kakashi out. Once Naruto was in the arena, the crowd started cheering for him. Hinata was waiting and watching to see her soon-to-be fiancé beat the unholy hell out of Sasuke. I know you heard this before but, your little trick with Kakashi, didn't work. Naruto said. Humph, like I need him. Sasuke said. Go Sasuke. Sakura cheered. Come on Naru-kun. Ino said as the pink-haired girl looked over at the blonde. What? Why are you cheering for that doby? You love Sasuke. Sakura said. You can keep, emo boy. Said Ino. I like my men with control over their emotions and I just love, bad asses. Beat emo boys Naruto-kun. Naruto just looked over and saw Ino cheering for him. Well, there's a surprise. He said, one of your die-hard fans is in love with me and cheering for me. I don't need fans. Sasuke growled as he dashed towards Naruto. The pair threw punches and kicks to each other, jutsus were used and new skills unleashed. It was at that point that Sasuke started to get nervous. He's stronger than last time. He's not even breaking a sweat. I'd better use the technique Kakashi taught me. He thought as he leapt back from Naruto and started doing the seal for the Chidori. Naruto looked up and saw Sasuke coming. Oh, here we go. He grumbled as Sasuke shot off one of his Chidori at Naruto. Naruto grabbed his sword and pulled it from his back as the energy sphere flew at him. With a quick motion he swatted at it, knocking the Chidori with the blade of his sword. It flew past Sasuke's head and exploded against the back wall. What the? Sasuke gasped. What the? Kakashi gasped. Sasuke growled as he charged up his Chidori again, hurling them left and right as Naruto tightly gripped his sword and started hitting them like they were baseballs. However, one of the Chidori got through, knocking the sword from his hand. I got you. Sasuke shouted as he hurled another Chidori at Naruto. However, Naruto shot forward and snatched the Chidori in midair. His hands started to burn as he held the energy sphere for a few seconds. With a forced grunt the boy tossed the Chidori back to the raven-haired boy. Sasuke leapt into the air as the blast struck at his feet. However, in midair he was intercepted by Naruto, whose arm turned to solid steel and struck him hard in the jaw. The impact shot Sasuke like a stone, slamming him into the ground like a missile. The impact rocked the arena and kicked up dust everywhere. Naruto looked down at Sasuke, who was bleeding from various wounds in his mouth. He was also unconscious. I think that's game, Naruto said as he stepped out of the crater. The dust cloud started to disappear as the rain started to fall. Everyone immediately cheered for him. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, said the proctor. While Naruto was getting patched up, Kushina was talking to Sarutobi, the other cages and the council. As you can see, the caliber of shinobis that New Whirlpool have is quite considerable. She said. The male members of the group were, however, still looking at her cleavage. Plus I think my nephew and future daughter-in-law should also be Chunin regardless of what happened. The other cages agreed, while the council started to argue over it. He must be killed. One council member shouted. He cheated, said another. They continued to argue, forgetting that the fire and water lords were there also. Quiet, said the fire lord, you are making a spectacle of yourselves. The boy won against the Uchiha fair and square, and you know it. Now we all know he's not a god, and even if he was, even a kami can be beaten. Also, I don't like it when you start to accuse my shinobis of cheating. Said the water lord, what type of people do you let live in your lands, Ichigo? They just came in thinking that their bloodlines would protect them, but didn't think of the fact that even heroes can become corrupt. Ayane. He said. The next match was to see who was going to face Naruto in the finals. Hinata went up against Temari. The two faced each other in the arena. I can't do it, Temari said. Hinata looked at the San Kunoichi. What do you mean, Temari-chan? She asked as Temari reached over and grabbed the girl in a tight hug. This left the crowd speechless. Temari-chan. I'm not going to stand in your way to prove to your fiancé how much better you've gotten. Temari said, just do me a favor. Give him everything you have. Show him how much you love him. Hinata gently nodded and hugged her back. Proctor, I forfeit. Temari said. Temari of the Sand forfeits her match, winner Hinata Hyuga. He said, there will be a 10-minute break before the finals. And hopefully this rain will stop. With that, everyone went to get out of the rain and dry off. Meanwhile, Naruto had heard what Temari had said and he stopped her as she went into the room. Thanks, Tima-chan, he said. I guess I owe you one. You've already paid up, she said. I can never repay you for what you and your mother did for Gaara, that's why I accepted the engagement to you. She hugged him and gave him a kiss on the lips. He smirked and hugged her. Good luck, Naru-kun. She left to go and check on Gaara. Just then Rimuru came into the room. So it's you and Hinata in the finals, huh? He said. Naruto nodded his head. I expect you to share your lunch with me. He said, then walked out. Naruto sighed and started to get ready for his fight with his fiancée. Meanwhile, Tora was twirling Hinata around while hugging her. You did it. You made it to the finals. She said. However, Hinata was getting dizzy. Tora, put the poor girl down. She's getting dizzy, said Reiko. Oh, alright. Tora pouted as she did as told. So you're going up against Naru-kun. How do you feel? Reiko asked. Like I want to throw up, Hinata said. But I'm fine, I guess. Just then Rin came in to give some last-minute advice to her. Don't hurt our fiancé too bad, she said, and the others giggled. That was when they were called to the arena. Here we go, Hinata said to herself. Naruto and Hinata walked out into the arena. Both of them turned to the other, staring at their fiancé from opposite ends of the arena. They stepped up to each other while everyone just watched. There were no words or speeches needed as they both mouthed, I'm sorry, I love you, to each other. The pair leaned in and shared a brief kiss, seeing the love in their eyes as they backed away and positioned themselves for a fight. Their eyes flashed as they started to fight like crazy. Hinata dodged the first few attacks but realized that she was in a fight and had to give it all she had. I'm going to have to do it, she thought after being slammed into a wall. Quick as she could, Hinata transformed into her living diamond body and executed her 128 palms attack against Naruto. Naruto flew back and crashed into the wall, but managed to pull himself out of hole. He grinned at the girl with pride as he stood up and transformed once again into his steel body. She looked at him with love in her eyes even as he pulled his desperation move. Wind and steel style. Bring the rain. Naruto shouted as he charged towards Hinata. Now to show Naru-kun my new move. Shining diamond style. Bring the rain. She shouted as she charged towards Naruto. Up in the stands, Kushina gasped as she grabbed Sarutobi. Oh crap. Get down. The pair charged towards each other and slammed hard into the other, a massive explosion shaking every inch of the arena as dust and debris scattered everywhere. It was when the dust finally cleared that everyone saw Naruto walk out of the large crater with an unconscious, but alive, Hinata in his arms. Winner: Naruto Namikaze. The proctor announced as the crowd went crazy. The Hokage had stood up to address the crowd. Congratulations, Naruto Namikaze, on winning the tournament. Now, thanks to our decisions, we have selected 9 genins to become Chunins. He said, and one of them will be Naruto Namikaze. Those from Konoha were outraged, but again the lords warned them. We will take an hour break for our choices to rest and then begin the presentations. With that, the group went off to rest. Later, Sarutobi was in the middle of arena with Kushina, the lightning, rock and wind cages. Alright, he said. When I say your name, please come down to receive your Chunin vest. I'll start with the non-winners, Jun Kintobori. She came down and took off her fur cape. Even though Shino took out your knee, you have shown that you have strength of heart. So, it makes me proud to give you this Chunin vest with our gratitude. Sarutobi said. She hugged the Hokage and he helped her with it on. Next, Shino Aburame. Shino slowly started to go down to the arena with the help of his bugs and father. He bowed to the Hokage. Shino, your fight with Jun also showed you to be a great talent as well, you showed great strength and heart. I'm sure Shibi is very proud of you for trying. Sarutobi helped him slip the vest onto his body. He bowed and stood off to the side. Next, Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru came down as his trench coat was waving, he bowed to the Hokage. You have proven yourself to take the smart way out. When you knew you were out of Charka and you allowed your opponent to live afterwards. This showed that you had mercy for your opponent. He slipped the Chunin vest onto Shikamaru. Musaka Takeuchi. Musaka slowly walked down to the arena. Musaka, you showed skill, grace and talent this day. Thank you, for a great match. Musaka had slipped on the vest as Taicho came down to hug her son tightly. Rock Lee. Lee came down in pain, but he was smiling a blinding smile and bowed to the Hokage. You have showed yourself as a very powerful opponent and very skilled. Your match with Gaara showed proof in that. Lee accepted his vest and placed it on. That's all from Konoha. Naturally, some of the crowd booed because Sasuke didn't get a Chunin vest. Next is Tamari. She went over and took off her fan and boomerang. You were very talented in the tournament. You also showed mercy to Hinata and showed compassion, knowing that she wanted to prove herself to Naruto. Thank you, Tamari. She accepted the vest and slipped it on. Hagane Uzumaki. He came down still with a little disbelief on his face, but he was proud of Hinata. You showed humility when you and Hinata went at it. The match was powerful and very skilled. Congratulations. He handed Hagane his vest and he bowed to the Hokage. Hinata Hyuga, she went over and hugged both the Hokage and Kushina. I'm proud of you, she said as she hugged Hinata. You have come a very long way from where you were, said Sarutobi. You are very trustworthy and your family's style is deadly in your hands. I am proud to give you this vest. She put it on and hugged him again. Off to the side, Hiyashi, Neji and Hanabi were waiting to greet their estranged family member, then went over to hug her. And now, the winner of the tournament, a young man who climbed his way to the top without any help from anyone here in Konoha, because we can't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll that it's sealed into it. Everyone looked down as he said that. Naruto Namikaze. He walked out and those that cheered for him went crazy. He bowed to the crowd and to the Hokage as he handed Naruto his Chunin vest. What can I say? He said. I thank everyone that supported me and that was there for me. He hugged his mother. Just then the Kazekage made his move and attacked Sarutobi. What the? Sarutobi gasped as the Kazekage grabbed him and leapt to the roof of a building. A swarm of feathers started to fall and put nearly everyone in the stands to sleep. Oh crap, I hope she still thinks who she is. Naruto thought. Jean, it's starting, we need help here. I'm coming, Scott. Rin sent back. I'll have to stall. He muttered. Pretty ballsy to attack now. But there is only one person I can think of that does. The Kazekage removed his face. Orochimaru. Naruto shouted. That's right, boy, Orochimaru said. Just then Sarutobi broke out of Orochimaru's grip and knocked him back. But, we were ready for you, he said as he got ready to fight. Orochimaru was shocked as his sensei had knocked him back and he chuckled. You are nothing, old man, he said. My army will destroy this village and I will destroy you. Suddenly a barrier had formed as both the sand and sound shinobis started to attack. Naruto snapped into action just as he saw a flaming bird attacking huge snakes. They were trying to bite her, but she was ducking and dodging the strikes and making them bite each other. She landed next to him and noticed they were surrounded by enemies. Let's do this, he said. Everyone, which included Naruto, his family, Hinata, Rin, the new made Chunin ninja, and a handful of others, stood ready. Ino and the others in the stands came down to help, taking down several sand and sound ninja on their way. Need help? Ino said. Thanks, Ino-chan, said Naruto as he pulled his sword. Temari pulled off her boomerang and threw it, taking out a handful of sound and sand nins. Baki had seen this and went over to her. What are you doing? Baki shouted. Didn't you know that our father is dead? She said. He was in shock. Dead, he said, trying to confirm what she said. Yes, dead. Someone told Naruto about it and he told us. This is vengeance, she said before going back to fight. Meanwhile, Naruto and Team Whirlpool were about to leave the arena, but they were stopped by enemy nins. Naruto started to run right at them. Alright, let's do this, he said as he pulled out the contract scroll he had found at the manor. Summoning technique, he said as dozens of beings had formed in front of them. They were all dressed in ancient-looking armor, sandals and helmets. They had spears, swords and shields, and they were all female. Into battle, Naruto shouted as the female warriors fell in behind him, the group battling through enemy ninjas left and right. The young ninja blasted through the enemy nin on his way towards Sarutobi and Orochimaru. You are never going to get Naruto, Sarutobi said as the snake man laughed at him. Oh really, sensei? Orochimaru said. There is only one way to prove you wrong, he said as he did the seal for his forbidden jutsu. Summoning. Impure World Resurrection. Just then 3 caskets started to rise and 2 opened up, and the first and second Hokages of Konoha came out like zombies and Orochimaru had control over them. While this was going on, something was happening outside the dome. Naruto had reached the dome and grabbed one of the nins that were keeping it up. He tossed her to Hagane, who knocked her cold. With that side open, the other ninja attacked him, only to get knocked down and away by the female warriors following him. Naruto leapt through the barrier and froze when he saw the first and second Hokages attacking Sarutobi. Naruto's eyes widened, and then he narrowed them in anger. You wanted me, Snake Boy. You got me, he said and summoned what he thought were the boss of his contract, but all of a sudden, there was a man to the side of him. He had spiky blonde hair and blue eyes, he was dressed in a black bodysuit, boots and gloves, and he also wore a long red trench coat. What the? Naruto said as he saw the man. He turned to look at him and Naruto's jaw hit the floor along with Sarutobi's. Orochimaru was also shocked. Dad, but how? I don't know, but this time, I'm going to finish this, he said and did seals while saying, I am the bone of my sword. Steel is my body, and fire is my blood. I've created over 1,000 of blades. Unaware of loss, nor aware of gain, withstood pain to create weapons. Waiting for one's arrival, I have no regrets. This is the only whole life was, unlimited blade works. Just then a new dome formed over them all as dozens of weapons came shooting down on Orochimaru and the controlled Hokages. Then Minato and Sarutobi went to attack them while Naruto started to perform the next summoning seals. Summoning technique. Boss Amazon. Naruto shouted. Just then 2 women appeared. One had long black hair and the other had long snowy white hair. Both had blue eyes, one had caramel-colored skin and a black cape attached to her bracelets. Both were dressed in a bathing suits that were red on top and blue briefs with white stars. An eagle on their chests like a bustier, tiaras, bracelets, boots and golden lassos attached to their rather shapely hips. Diana, go help Sarutobi. Aurora, help my father. Naruto said to them. They nodded and headed to the other men in the dome. Naruto turned and just looked at Orochimaru with a smirk, so still want me? I will get you boy. The snake Sanin growled. Yeah, that's what you said in the forest of death. How are the fangs? Orochimaru growled in anger and attacked. Naruto dodged the first few attacks but leapt up and kicked the snake man in the head. It was then that Orochimaru remembered what he did to Sasuke. However, Naruto pulled a new surprise on him and pulled his devil trigger attack. Naruto glowed bright as he suddenly transformed into his devil trigger. His body warped and shifted as he transformed into a tall black winged figure. He leapt into the air and zoomed back to the snake man, striking him with a lightning attack that not only shocked, but shredded his skin. Orochimaru's arm looked like someone used a cheese grater on it. Naruto didn't stop as he slammed his fists into the twisted snake Sanin, sending a lightning bolt into Orochimaru and blasting him hard into a solid stone wall. Oh, but how? He gasped, blood coming out of his mouth as he staggered backwards. It's something that my Dante costume gave to me, Naruto said as he pulled his sword from his back. I wasn't expecting this. Orochimaru groaned. I suppose shredding your arm wasn't what you were expecting, Naruto said as his body ignited with fire. I haven't used these powers before, because I was waiting for just the right opponent to use them on. He shouted as he blasted a bolt of fire towards Orochimaru, burning his arm off to the nub. You son of a bitch, he said as Naruto flew in again and gave the Sanin a right cross. My parents were married, which is more than I can say for yours, Naruto shouted as he hit Orochimaru again and knocked him across the area. However, Orochimaru just chuckled as Naruto, who had transformed back to his original form, wondered why the snake was laughing. Unfortunately, Sarutobi knew what was going on. No, Sarutobi shouted as Orochimaru drew a blade from his mouth and launched himself at Naruto. Right as the blade flew towards Naruto, a shadow passed over him and the katana went right through Sarutobi's heart. No, Naruto said as he grabbed the sword so that Orochimaru was in close. Naruto pulled out one of his guns and fired on Orochimaru, forcing him to release the katana, and enabling him to escape. Damn it, he shouted as he looked at Sarutobi, gently removing the katana from his chest as Diana came over to him. Put this somewhere safe, Naruto said as he handed the blade to Diana. He looked down and saw Sarutobi dying in his arms. Tears gently fell from his eyes. Just then he looked over and saw Kabuto in front of him. Poor Naruto, he said. The only one that cared for you died by my master's hand. While there were a number of things he could have said, the only thing that came out was, you goddamn cocksucker. He growled and got ready to attack him, only to have Minato grab his shoulder. What? Father? He gasped as Kabuto looked pale. No, Naruto. You defeated Orochimaru. His lackey belongs to me. Why yes father, Naruto said as Diana picked up Sarutobi's body, carrying him away. Stupid Kabuto, Minato said. I don't know what you were thinking. You actually thought you could beat Naruto after what he did to your master. And then you show up expecting to kill him. Get ready to be disappointed. That was when the screams began. Diana and Aurora landed, carrying Naruto and Sarutobi, and told the others what had happened. My husband's alive, said Kushina. I don't think so. He was summoned, Diana said. The group suddenly heard a huge explosion and dozens of screams. They looked over and saw Shikamaru doing this thing with Ino and Choji. Shikamaru was throwing shadows that exploded against enemies. He was dressed in a black-purple bodysuit, boots and a trench coat. As the nin flew up into the air, Ino was in the air slamming him down, and on the way Choji came rushing in dressed in red armor, charging then crushed him against the wall of the arena. As one was about to attack Choji, someone came in dressed in a red robe, with long white hair and a huge sword slicing the nin in half vertically. It was Kiba, and then he cut off another's head off. That was when one was about to come up on him and saw hit by a Celine Mustang police car. A police car? Kushina asked. That was when it transformed into a gorgeous woman with long platinum blonde hair, dressed in some kind of battle bikini and armor. As usual, her eyes gave her away. Kurenai, she said. Hello Uzumaki-sama, the red-eyed woman said. I've told you to call me Kushina. She said. Just then she saw something about to hit her. Down. Kushina shouted as she tackled Kurenai to the side, then they looked over and saw a woman with long blonde hair and blue eyes, a gown, sandals, a Russian captain's uniform and a cigar in her mouth firing a machine gun at the enemy nins. After they dropped, she pulled the cigar out of her mouth and blew out smoke. They looked over and saw her, the destroyed left eye and the blue eye revealed who she was. Taicho-sama, said Kurenai. Hello Kushina, Kurenai-chan. She said. So, shall we help? The team nodded and charged back into battle as Naruto stared at the dead body of the older man. Naruto, Diana said to the boy. There is nothing we can do for him. Actually, I think there is, he said as he pulled out the summoning scroll he used for the Amazons. He performed the proper signs and caused both the scroll and the body of Sarutobi to glow brightly. Diana just watched as a mirror image pulled out of Sarutobi's body and was pulled into the scroll. There, it's done. Done. What did you do? Diana asked. I transferred Ji-san's soul into the summoning scroll. But it'll be a while before we can summon him back. Until then, Naruto. What's wrong? Diana asked as Naruto slowly put the scroll into his jacket. Took a lot out of me. Naruto wheezed as he fell onto the ground, exhausted. Whoa, he really must have burned a lot of energy to perform that technique. Diana said as the others came up to them. The fight's over. The remaining sand and sound are retreating. Kushina said. Then the only thing that's left is Sarutobi's funeral. Said Kushina as Diana and the other Amazons disappeared. Naruto was carried to the hospital, the scroll having been tucked into his jacket. And naturally, with Naruto unconscious and Diana gone, no one knew that Sarutobi's soul was inside the scroll.